The ancient site of Saqqara, located 20 miles south of Cairo on the Nile's west bank, where crop fields give way to the desert, is marked by massive pyramids that emerged from the sand like dragon's teeth. The Step Pyramid is the most famous, built in the 27th century BC by the Old Kingdom Pharaoh Djoser, who began building pyramids as monumental royal tombs. More than a dozen other pyramids are scattered along the 5-mile stretch of land, dotted with the ruins of temples, tombs, and walkways that span ancient Egypt's entire history. But there is much more beneath the ground, a vast, extraordinary netherworld of treasures. Hello and welcome back to the Abandoned Archaeologist, the channel to learn all about ancient archaeological findings. Today we'll discuss the discovery of a hidden tomb with perfectly preserved paintings dating back to 4,400 years ago. How is this possible? Let's find out. But before we begin, to get your attention, we have a question you can answer at the end of the video by watching it. Whom did WAHTYE serve? Write down your answer in the comment section and see if you got it right. Here we begin with the video. In the Egyptian desert necropolis of Saqqara, an entire previously unknown burial complex has been discovered. The discoveries revolve around a mummification workshop where all ancient priests prepared the deceased bodies for burial, a burial shaft in the center tunnel up to 30 meters or 98 feet underground. Archaeologists discovered 3 wooden coffins, a limestone sarcophagus, a mummy, and grave goods for the afterlife down this shaft. Among the discoveries was an extraordinary mask worn by the mummy, made of gilded silver and eyes inlaid with obsidian, calcite, and a black stone that could be onyx. This type of mask hasn't been discovered since 1939. Very few precious metal masks have survived today because most ancient Egyptian dignitaries' tombs were looted in ancient times. The team deduced that the mask wearer was the second priest of the mother goddess Mut and the priest of the goddess Nut-Shais, a serpent form of Mut. He lived and died between 664 and 404 BCE during the Scythe-Persian period of the 26th dynasty. The archaeologists were working in a tomb complex that included several burial shafts. Over one of them, they discovered the ruins of a building made of mud brick and limestone blocks. They deduced that this was where the priests would mummify the bodies before burial. It had 2 large basins with a ramp between them, surrounded by mud brick walls. It was probably used for 2 things: drying the bodies with a natural salt-based preservative called natron and preparing the linen bandages for wrapping. Measurement cups and bowls inscribed with the names of the oils used in the embalming process were discovered in pots in a basement. Along with the burials, the archaeologists discovered alabaster canopic jars used by the ancient Egyptians to contain the deceased organs, which were removed during the mummification process, and ushabti figurines, which were fired in faience, a type of tin glazing over pottery. To document the shape of the shaft hewn from the bedrock, the team used cutting-edge photogrammetry and 3D laser scanning. They're also producing 3D laser scans of all the artifacts discovered there. Further, a recent discovery was made where they found a one-of-a-kind 4,400-year-old tomb. This discovery leads the archaeologists to understand the past discovery about the priests further. It is a well-preserved tomb in Egypt that's been identified as the final resting place of a high official royal priest who, according to one excavation official, adored his mother. Almost everywhere here, he mentions the name of his mother. Photos and videos of the more than 4,000-year-old tomb show its exceptional condition. According to Reuters, Waziri described the discovery as one of a kind in the past decades. According to experts, the priest's name is WAHTYE, and he served during Egypt's 5th dynasty under King Nefertari. His tomb was discovered in the Saqqara region, south of Cairo, and is approximately 10 feet wide, 33 feet long, and 10 feet high. It is divided into 2 levels and contains dozens of statues and colorful drawings of the priest and his family. According to Egypt Today, the drawings depict the manufacturing of pottery and wine, the making of religious offerings, musical performances, boat sailing, the manufacturing of funerary furniture, and hunting. According to NPR, the Saqqara site is part of a massive complex where archaeologists discovered art and architecture that shed light on daily life in ancient Egypt. According to Waziri, many other artifacts will likely be hidden in the tomb's lower depths. He pointed to a shaft that he believes contains a sarcophagus of the tomb's owner, among other things. Archaeologists describe the tomb's discovery as unique due to its near-perfect condition. According to Reuters, the drawings were almost completely preserved, and the tomb had not been looted. The color is almost intact, despite the tomb being nearly 4,400 years old, he told Reuters. From approximately 2,500 BC to 2,350 BC, Egypt's 5th dynasty ruled. Before that, they discovered around 7 tombs beneath the necropolis that showcased ancient Egypt's sacrificial things. Scarab beetle mummies were among the grave goods discovered in the 5th dynasty necropolis of Saqqara by ancient Egypt archaeologists. The excavators also claim to have discovered a pristine tomb from around 4,500 years ago that had remained undetected and untouched by grave robbers for thousands of years. The tomb is from the 5th dynasty of the Old Kingdom and is unusual because the facade and door are still intact, implying that its contents may still be untouched. According to him, experts intend to open the tomb in the coming weeks. Scarabs can be found on all continents except Antarctica, and stone beetles have been crawling all over the Middle East for millennia. Many have been discovered in Israel, including the biblical cities of Djoser and Shimron. Discovering carefully preserved beetle corpses from 4,500 years ago, on the other hand, is an entirely different story. Mummified beetles, cats, crocodiles, and other sacred animals were discovered in 7 tombs over the last 6 months on the outskirts of the King Userkaf pyramid complex at the necropolis of Saqqara south of Cairo. Little is known about Pharaoh Userkaf, who founded the 5th dynasty, which is thought to have lasted between 150 and 250 years, depending on ancient historian beliefs. The 5th dynasty appears to have begun around 4,500 years ago, in the 26th or 25th century BCE. It was part of Egypt's Old Kingdom. However, it was so long ago that historians argued about who ruled when, even in antiquity. There are numerous mysteries surrounding King Userkaf, including who his parents and his queen were. The island of Elephantine is mentioned in ancient sources as the center of rule, but archaeologists have discovered palatial ruins in ancient Memphis, about 20 kilometers or 12 miles south of Giza. The pharaoh had temples built for the solar deity, and he became Egypt's official god during the 5th dynasty. And when this short-reigning pharaoh died, apparently leaving behind at least one son, Sahur, to succeed him, Userkaf received the king's respect in the form of a pyramid complex in Saqqara. Saqqara, Memphis's grand necropolis, bolstered its claim as the center of power. The sheer number of preserved animal corpses in over 30 Egyptian catacombs, estimated at over 70 million, packed like library books floor to ceiling, suggests that animalia embalming was a massive industry. This discovery at Saqqara was far from uncommon. Mummified beetles, on the other hand, were unusual. 2 large scarabs wrapped in linen and in very good condition were discovered inside a limestone sarcophagus with a vaulted, decorated lid. Another group of scarab mummies was discovered inside a smaller sarcophagus. Scarabs, like many of their insect relatives, are considered repulsive by modern standards. However, dung beetles are a type of scarab, and they can be found everywhere street cats do their business in Tel Aviv. Despite this, the ancient Egyptians revered the insect for centuries, dating back to the 5th dynasty. Moreover, scarabs carved of stone have been found wherever the ancient Egyptians conquered, indicating that the esteem spread throughout the region. Several cat mummies and gilded statues of cats were discovered in the Saqqara tomb, as well as a bronze statue dedicated to the cat goddess Bastet, a collection of gilded statues depicting animal features, painted wooden cobra and crocodile sarcophagi, and objects such as amulets, writing tools, canopic jars, and papyri baskets. In terms of crocodiles, archaeologists discovered mummified cats and crocodiles last year at Gebel el-Silsila, a site on the Nile 65 kilometers north of Aswan. The site had a lot of stone scarabs, which is typical, but there's a question about the crocodiles. The problem is that this location is right on the mighty river, famous for teeming with great reptiles. So it's entirely possible that the crocodile remains discovered there were not buried with great honor, but rather died as a result of seasonal flooding of the Nile, only to be discovered 3,500 years later and possibly misinterpreted. This is it about the 4,400-year-old ancient tomb discovered with perfectly preserved paintings. Let us know your views in the comments below, and the answer to the question we've asked is that WAHTYE was a high-ranking priest who served under Pharaoh Nefertari Kakai of the 5th dynasty.